Viewers are outraged, relationships are splitting, and the Frost family is on the verge of disintegration. Karlie's emotions were strong as she paced backstage, repeating every stolen look and concealed text. Rasheeda Frost's serenity snapped as she returned to the green room, ready to tell the truth or set the record fire. When she heard Karlie's assertion, "You lied to me," she screamed between gritted teeth and slammed a water bottle against. Meanwhile, young Jock paced in anguish, caught between loyalty and treachery, while pals hurried to select sides. Is there any proof beyond Karlie's dramatic speech? Amid murmurs of a leaked DNA report, midnight rendezvous circulate over social media, leaving the family split, and spectators are on the edge of their seats, dying to hear whether Karlie is uncovering a scandal or organizing the ultimate revenge. The stage is prepared. The actors are in place, and the fallout is about to begin. Karlie's remarks lingered in the air backstage, creating a swirl of frenzied murmurs and ruined alliances. Rasheeda, face pale and eyes flaming, smashed her palm into a locker, shaking the metal. Staff members froze, unsure whether to act or pull away. Young Jock lingered close, divided between soothing Rasheeda and confronting Kirk. The tension was electrifying, with each pulse booming like a drum roll before doom. Without a screenplay to follow, they were inventing their answers to a controversy that threatened to devour them. Karlie sat on a foldable chair beneath the bright lights of the green room, and her chest-heaving. Viewers at home were falling. Theories fans across social media were astonished, repeating the footage on loop and examining every frame. Alliances broke as confidants exchanged worrisome looks. Some whispered that Karlie had unearthed text messages. Others thought she was weaving stories for publicity. But none could resist the weight of her charge. Kirk Frost, the loving spouse, had purportedly spent the night with Karlie Redd in the hallway. Kirk's stride halted as approached, its jaw shook. Perspiration beaded on his brow. He had heard the tale's late-night calls, cryptic tweets, but had pushed them away, secure in his stations, until now when he saw Rasheeda's tight posture and the phone pressed. His world inverted. He opened his lips to speak, but no words came out. When his fragility was left naked before the cameras, his carefully built image disintegrating, young Jock finally spoke, his voice shaking with desperation. "We need to handle this now," he murmured, clutching Kirk's shoulder. Jock's allegiance was divided. He had called Kirk brother for years and had embraced Karlie as a friend recently. Forced to pick between two people he greatly loved, Jock's voice broke Karlie. "What evidence do you have, Kirk? Explain yourself." This question was both a plea and a challenge, piercing through the commotion like a scalpel. Karlie rose and retrieved her phone. Her fingers trembled as she opened the screen, but her demeanor remained steadfast. "Text from Kirk," she murmured gently, "and a time stamp. See for yourself." She gave the smartphone to Rasheeda. As she scanned through message after message, her eyes filled with tears. She couldn't stop thinking about last night, which she apologized for. "What I said, meet me at the old studio." The last snapshot showed a location pin put at Karlie's residence with an arrival time far after midnight. Rhea, single quotations as her composure shatters, collapsed to her knees, gripping the phone like a lifeline. "How could you?" she cried, anguish wrenching her body. Knelt by her, terror in his eyes. "I never intended this," he cried. "It was a mistake." But his words were empty. Jock caressed Rasheeda's back, mumbling comfort, but unable to heal the divide his actions had caused. Glanced to Kirk, looking for truth in his friend's somber gaze. Everyone in that hallway felt the weight of the moment. Production assistants stood at attention, unsure whether to summon security or just let the drama. Overhead cameras on standby buzzed, like silent witnesses. The border between performance and reality blurred. They were intended to amuse an audience, but their personal lives had becoming the most explosive plot possible. Karlie felt a stab of guilt as she observed Rasheeda's anguish. He sought to uncover a betrayal but hadn't expected the extent of Rasheeda's pain. Memories of their relationship rushed across her head late night. Heart-to-hearts shared laughter equally, and now those memories were tarnished forever, clouded by lies. She bit her lip, fighting remorse. She stayed steadfast in her determination that the truth had to come out. As she raised her head, tears streamed down her face. Her voice, while trembling, held steel. "You promised me forever," she murmured, looking at Kirk. "You told me I was the." Kirk had formed his life around those promises, making the betrayal all the more painful. Kirk's shoulders fell, and he looked like the guy who had lost everything. In an instant, in that heated stillness, Jock cleared his throat. "We can get through this," he suggested softly. His words were a fragile bridge, a shard of optimism among the wrecked. Jock looked to Karlie and said, "Now what?" Karlie inquired, looking at her phone before returning her gaze to Jock. "Let the world see," she said. "What has been hidden?" Jock nodded unwillingly, understanding that as they gathered themselves, they realized that their private agony was going to be made public. The next portion of the reunion loomed, and they would shortly come onto the stage under bright lights, with cameras rolling. Every spectator will see the raw consequences of the bombshell Karlie had delivered. Producers communicated via earpieces, preparing cues and tweaking microphones. The air crackled with expectancy. Tension grew with each passing second, and knowledge of the scandal had already spilled outside those boundaries. Reporters outside set up cameras, anxious for any shred of news. Fans yelled Karlie's name in the foyer, jockeyed for position, waiting for a reply from Kirk and Rasheeda. The rumor mill buzzed faster than ever. Would Kirk confess on public television? Could Rasheeda forgive him? And was there more to the story than Karlie had revealed? Backstage monitors showed the crowd filling the studio seats, unaware of the full depth of the crisis. Cheered out of footage of previous highlights, oblivious that history was about to be changed in front of their eyes. Jock curled tensely alongside her, his warm presence a memory of earlier days before distrust poisoned everything. Kirk followed a step behind, anxiousness emanating from him in tangible waves, while Karlie faced the cameras with calm conviction. The set with its brilliant colors and rehearsed portions seemed like an ill-fitting background for the intense anguish and betrayal that charged the air. The host welcomed them with her iconic cheer, her words pouring over the listeners' enthusiastic claps. Everyone held their breath for a second, waited to see whether they would follow the show's well-crafted outline or tear the script completely. Karlie shared a meaningful look with Jock before turning her gaze outward. She cleared her throat and spoke calmly. Persistent, and the crowd leaned forward. "We all came here tonight expecting entertainment," she began, "but there's a truth that has to be shared." Murmurs swept across the audience. Cameras shifted from disbelieving expressions to Rasheeda's shaking look. Fans are horrified by the headline. Yet, at that point, the studio served as a testing ground for something much more dramatic than any reality show drama. Quotations. S eyes narrowed as the words struck her like an icy cold wave. Recollections of laughter whispering secrets. Promises spoken in dimly lit rooms all seemed poisoned, so she turned to Jock for consolation. His austere demeanor, but finding only worry written huge on his face, he grasped her hand under the table, gave it a comforting squeeze, but his gaze glanced toward Kirk with unsaid queries. Kirk caught in the glare, he swallowed hard and walked forward, quivering beneath Rasheeda's stare and the expectant hush. If the audience, whether this is about what occurred last week, he began, uneasiness vibrating in his voice. But Karlie cut in, her tone steadfast. "It's exactly about that, Kirk," she whispered gently, holding out her phone and the screen. Lighting her determined face, she touched, and the big screen wall behind them flared into life, revealing a time-stamped message string labeled with Kirk's name. The crowd gasped collectively as the first text appeared. "I can't stop thinking about you." Rasheeda's breath caught. Jock's eyes widened. Kirk's face turned ashen for the following 30 seconds. The studio was overwhelmed by the digital evidence, many messages, explicit apologies, and allusions to 3:14 a.m. when Kirk allegedly drove. Rasheeda was reminded of the broken when the film concluded. Rasheeda stood from her seat with her arms crossed, curled about herself, her voice quivering with betrayal. "You lied," she muttered, tears welling up in her eyes. "Me, every time you claimed you loved me." The camera turned, gone beyond control. Jock stood with his chest heaving, indicating his inner tension. He walked nearer Rasheeda, giving her a shoulder to rely on. Switched his eyes to Kirk, quietly asking answers beyond an apology. Gay Arlie.